Hello everybody, this is Iced Blood. Welcome back to Resident Evil 4. Today we're going to tackle the rest of 5-3 and move on to 5-4. Given the choice, I'd rather not have a chapter split mid-video, but if we'd finished up this one, it would have made last video quite a bit longer than I would have liked. Probably would have made it about 45 to 50 minutes. And that's just too long, I think. I don't want to take up too much of your time. You know, this is the age of the internet, and we all have things to do. And I'm sure you all have better things to do with your time than listen to me blather on about a 9-year-old game. You may have caught on to the fact that right here there is absolutely no music and no indication of what the hell's going on. There's a reason for that. Tension! Leading up to...
So, you two are all hooked up now, is that it?
Where's Ashley?
Do you really want to know?
Yes.
She's beyond that gate,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
but you'll need 3 insignias to open it.
Oh,
What are you gonna
that
do,
figures.
Krauser?
There's one in the north, and the other in the east.
Why are you telling me
And
this?
let me guess. You got the last one.
It pretty much means you're on a tight leash.
Nice war paint.
Sounds like you thought this one out pretty well.
So I mentioned last video that there was going to be a boss fight, which was U3, and a prologue to another. That other was this one. Yesterday we tackled the quick time fest that was the initial bout with Krauser. Now we get to capitalize on that and fight him for real. Krauser's a unique boss, in that while you can tackle him with weapons, it's not really a good idea. As dangerous and stupid as it might seem, the weapon you want to use against Krauser is your trusty combat knife. This is not true of the other bosses in the game, but this one is special, and more about the environment than the actual fight, at least for right now.
Getting a bit soft, are we?
Maybe. And this is what happens when you're a bit too close to him and give him a chance to fight back. You get a couple quick time events, and then after you do enough damage to him, he'll disappear. Kind of like with what happened with U3 in the boxcars. You do enough damage, he leaves you alone, you move forward. Every so often, he'll go off to the side and use his TMP. I assume it's a TMP. Either way, it's a submachine gun. I don't know anything about guns. Don't mind me. Notice that when it gets close, he uses his knife. Apparently, he listened to Leon's advice. Unlike Ada, knives are better for close encounters. The funny thing about Krauser is that while the knife is optimal, like I said before, you can use weapons. The odd thing being, of course, the knife is so much more effective against him. This isn't just a thematic thing, because obviously he likes to use his knife. And when we dealt with him at first, both he and Leon were using their knives as well. It actually does more damage to Krauser by a wide margin than pretty much any gun you have. Except maybe the Magnum, but that's debatable. Notice it takes only a handful of slashes each time he comes along to get him to leave.
What do you intend to do restoring Umbrella?
To bring order and balance to this insane world of ours.
Philosopher
A psycho
are
like
you?
you can't bring order or balance.
You tell him.
You don't seriously think a conservative mind can chart a new course for the world, do you?
I don't know, but I got the first key. Uh-oh. That figures. Really, dodging right now where we are doesn't do much. But whenever the button prompt shows up, I have a pathological need to hit the buttons, so...
Come out and fight like a man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna dignify that with an answer. Come on down. You're not scared of old Leon, are you? Look how skinny and spindly he is. He's like a ballerina. Come on, Krauser. Notice that our former colleague is praising us as we land our blows. Apparently he's testing us. Isn't that nice? Alright, now what every fight to the death needs is puzzles, so we're going to move this statue here to open the door and move along to the next key. Once we get the second one, the fight takes a bit of a change and we have to deal with him, well, once and for all, shall we say. I like this fight because, well, I think this might be the first time in all my runs through Resident Evil 4 that I've actually used the knife strategy on Krauser. And thus proved to myself that, you know what, it is very much viable. Because, of course, when you read something like that, say on a guide or in the strategy guide that's put out by official sources, stuff like that, you look online, you're like, oh, best to use the knife against Krauser. It works really well. It sounds insane. It sounds like a challenge run or whatever. Like, how could that possibly work better than guns? Who brings a knife to a gunfight? Well, Leon does. And he does it quite well. So if you ever want proof that the knife strategy works, look no further than this video. I am not very good with the knife. I've been using it somewhat regularly throughout the entire playthrough, but it is not my weapon of choice, and I'm pretty sure that's faintly obvious. So the fact that I'm able to handle Krauser rather well using it should tell you something. Something interesting I noticed, a bit of a sidetrack, if you look at the map, it has a dark blue dot and it said submission on it. I find that kind of funny considering there's apparently only one submission in the entire game, and that is the blue medallions for the Punisher. I don't know why they bothered with the specific legend for that when, there's only one. I don't know, seems a bit superfluous to me. But here we have a new obstacle, to bring it back to what's happening on screen. These little robot explosive things, which Krauser has brought to augment the battlefield, I suppose? Doesn't seem quite fair. I don't have any robots. This isn't Metal Gear. I can't use these sorts of things. I suppose the mine thrower's relatively close, maybe? I don't know. I've never used it. I think I mentioned that before. Anyway.
What is it that you fight for, comrade?
My past, I suppose.
Umbrella.
No, not really. Not Umbrella. Fuck Umbrella. Well, I mean, come on. They're responsible for everything that's happened in this series. And while I might appreciate that as a fan, I'm pretty sure Leon has every reason not to. If that portcullis shutting down wasn't a clue, this is, well, the stairway to heaven. No, it's the final showdown. We're gonna find the second key to unlock the secret door in this area, and then we're going to fight Krauser for the third. So before we get that, let's check around here and see if there's anything special we can pick up. Ah, look, there's something. Let's check here first, okay. Got that. Got that. Alright. Now, let's get that key. There we go. The eagle, alright. And then... Oh, hi.
2 down, 1 more to go, Krauser.
He took off his vest. And threw down his weapon. Oh, great. He's going Super Saiyan. Or not. This is beautiful.
Witness the power.
You've lost it completely, Krauser.
Prepare for your death, Leon.
Slightly better than his waxing philosophical after Ada knifed him. Well, I guess she didn't knife him, she knifed his gun. Or actually the exact opposite, she gunned his knife. Anyway. This is where things get fun. We have ourselves a time limit. And Krauser has suddenly become far more aggressive. But do not give in to temptation. The knife is still the best weapon to use right here. For a couple reasons. One, it does the most damage of all the weapons you have. And you might think, well, that might be true, but it's still a very risky maneuver. And that's true too. But the thing is, as you can see right there, is you can get him into a loop. It's pretty easy. I mean, that right there probably took out a good 2/3 of his health. I'm guessing. I actually don't know how much health he has. But anyway, consider this. How much ammo would we end up wasting trying to actually fight him? Because his little plaga arm there doubles as a shield. Right there. See that? And the thing about that is, of course, that means that anything you shoot at him isn't really going to do much of anything. And you could aim at his legs, sure, like I'm doing here with the knife. But the thing to take home here is that it takes a lot of firepower to take him down with conventional weaponry. So not only is this smart as a strategy because it does the most damage out of everything you have, it also means that you don't end up using up all of your ammo on him, and that's a very important thing, because we're going to need it very, very soon. I am not doing all that well. Thankfully I have a lot of healing items, but like I mentioned before, I believe this is the first time I've ever used the knife exclusively on Krauser, so I'm kind of testing the waters. I mean, we could try and use our rocket launcher, but I think you've already noticed just how fast this fucker is, and good luck actually hitting him with a rocket. Better just to come in close, try and dodge the attacks that he uses, and whenever you get the opportunity, use your knife to take him down. There we go, that's it. Game, set, match, Jack. It's not just some random reference, his name is Jack. Jack Krauser. Pretty sure. I hope it is. Otherwise... Well, anyway, so he used to be a good guy. Alright, so... Well, we knew that Leon and Krauser had a history. My guess, if I'm gonna guess anything, is the plaga that was injected into his arm, or wherever it ended up injected, had something to do with his apparent mood swing. Anyway, let's get out of here before the whole thing blows. Oh, look! We can't. Well, isn't that convenient for Krauser? Oh, except he left one exit open. And wouldn't you know it, it's right next to the door. Well, door. It will be a door once we put all the pieces of the puzzle inside. Next. And last. There we go. Oh, look, there's the door. Alrighty then. Let's go inside with 3 seconds to spare. That is the end of 5-3. Now, if I wanted to, I could end the video right here. And have it about, 15 minutes. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna move on. So let's see what happens next. Use an herb to freshen up. Make a new save file. And see what's around the corner. Surely it won't be anything dangerous. Oh wait, I forgot. This is Resident Evil.
So, it seems you killed Krauser too.
Yes.
How shall I return my appreciation?
Return?
What are you talking about? I thought he was with you.
What are you talking about? Did you really think I'd trust an American?
Oh.
To tell you the truth, I was contemplating how to get rid of him. But thanks to you, that's no longer necessary.
You were just using him right from the start.
Oh, I must hand it to you. You've demonstrated quite a bit of promise by killing Krauser. When your assimilation with Las Plagas is complete, I'll have you serve as my guard.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to decline your generous offer. I have prior engagements.
Enjoy your smart-mouthing while you can.
What I like about that exchange... Oh. Way to interrupt me, Ganado. He's talking about the pressure on the valve. No idea what he's actually talking about there, but...
Damn.
What's this?
Hey, it's about time.
Back up?
Sorry, bad traffic. I'll cover you.
Right there, they're talking about the barrels there. It says get them full of gunpowder. So clearly they're intending to fight back. Unfortunately, that's not going to work too well. I know you're surprised, but turns out this guy knows what he's doing. It makes you wonder where he's been this whole frickin' time. Honestly, with that kind of firepower, you're just going to send Leon all on his own? Couldn't we have just done this right from the start? And what if Ashley was being hidden somewhere in that complex? Their whole mission would have just been ruined right there.
Now that's what I call backup.
Oh well, I guess it was kind of awesome.
Looking for firepower, you come to the right place.
He just said his name was Mike. Don't know which Mike that might be, or if it's a reference to an earlier game, but we're definitely going to need him here. Because the Ganados have their own method of firepower. And we're going to need some backup. Well, I say need, more like it's nice. Because we could handle things ourselves, but, well, you know, if you have the opportunity to call in a helicopter with a bunch of heavy artillery, there's really no other reason, or rather no other response, I mean, then yes, you don't turn down a frickin' helicopter with guns. You just don't, okay? So, even though we could get along just fine on our own, I mean, look at this arsenal. We've still got plenty of ammunition, we've got plenty of healing items, we've even got a couple grenades, we've got a frickin' rocket. Is there any reason to really be scared for Leon's safety right now? I submit that there is not. The thing is, though, this is a very big set piece here. This level is kind of proof that we're closing in on the end here, because that's when things always ramp up. You know, it's when you fight the big bad, it's when you infiltrate the evil wizard's castle, or whatever appropriate metaphor you want to use. We're getting very, very close to the end here. And I suppose that this is one of those action pieces that people talk about when they say this isn't survival horror. And maybe it isn't. Maybe it is dramatic horror, to use the popular phrase. But I think that's okay. And I know I've been doing a lot of apologizing for later installments of the franchise and all that stuff lately, but hear me out on one last point, okay? The whole biohazard problem, to put it lightly, by now it's become really public knowledge. Okay, because I mentioned that, you know, in Nemesis, the US government has decided to nuke Raccoon City because it's really the only contingency they have left. So the government knows about what happened. And here in this game we've got the main story set 6 years after that incident. Umbrella has been scattered to the four winds, and the whole idea of bioterrorism has basically become not a common idea. I'm sure there are plenty of people who really don't believe it. I mean, who would? I mean, really, if you heard tomorrow that there was some viral outbreak that caused people to cannibalize each other, and the only solution the government could come up with is to blow it up, it'd be very hard to swallow that. I mean, really, I don't think any of us would really understand if it was really true. We'd all be like, says like, really? Totally? The zombie apocalypse is here? Oh my god! Like, what now? None of us would believe it. Even those of us who've come up with contingency plans for the zombie apocalypse. Those of us who watch Walking Dead for the strategic elements instead of the entertainment reasons. Those of us who've, you know, played RPGs or, you know, written out spreadsheets or whatever it is that you do when you're planning out your zombie outbreak strategy. Even we, privileged few who've thought about this, are not going to be prepared when it finally happens. It's just the nature of the beast. It's so unlikely that if it actually happens, nobody's going to know how to act. Okay? So, obviously, the whole zombie outbreak thing is not common knowledge. I would say that it's relatively covert still. But, despite that, it is known. To quote Game of Thrones, it is known. So, the idea that how to phrase this? The battlefield, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I've been using the term set piece. The idea that it would kind of raise the stakes a bit, and you'd have this kind of firepower backing you up, because we're dealing with a similar problem, makes a lot of sense. The stakes would raise the more time went on. The more people believe that viral outbreaks and parasitic outbreaks and terrorists that are super soldiers and all that kind of stuff, the more we believe that that's real, the more firepower we're going to throw at those people who are fighting against them. Okay, if we hear the term bioterrorist, well, who are we going to trust to save us from bioterrorism? I submit we're going to want some violent motherfuckers to save us from bioterrorists, okay? And Leon is one of them. Look at how many people he's murdered since this whole story started. And this Mike guy is coming pretty close to matching Leon's kill count in one area. That's probably not true, but the point is he's taking out a lot of guys a lot faster than Leon can with his awesome helicopter. So while this might not be survival horror in the classic sense, it makes sense for the mythology of the series that now that it's pretty readily available knowledge, maybe not, you know, common knowledge, but it's easy enough to find out, things would amp up. Things would get a little crazy. Especially when you're dealing with mindless ganados, because, well, they have the smarts to use weapons and tactics, but you can't really negotiate with them. I mentioned that before. You can't negotiate with these guys. So what can you do? You can blow them the fuck up. That's what you can do. Besides, I submit that this is rather stupidly satisfying. Alright? Every so often, while we're going along doing our normal thing with our grenades and our shotguns and our rifles and our rockets, to have the helicopter that's backing us up blow something up that we would normally have had to kill ourselves is just awesome, because it shows that, you know what, this world is paying attention to what we're doing and it's trying to help. We've been pretty isolated this entire game. The only other person we've dealt with that's helped us is Lewis, and he's dead. Ada, kinda, okay, she's been helping too, but she's, you know, she's got that whole femme fatale thing going, and nobody really knows what she's up to, and it's hard to gauge what she wants, and she isn't here for very long. Granted, Lewis wasn't there for very long either, but he was more overtly helpful, I guess, I would say. And I would say, you know, another person that's been helping us out is Ashley, but really the only helping she did was she found us some items and escaped from part of the castle, and not much. So she's more liability than help. So we have this Mike guy. He comes in right near the end of the game, and he helps us out with this level. And it's pretty awesome because, well, it adds a little bit to the world. It adds a bit to the way the game is structured. That they would have a level where somebody's actually helping you, and it's not co-op, it's not multiplayer, you're not relying on other players, you're not relying on some, you know, really stupid AI partner like you see in a bunch of, you know, single-player co-op games, or however you want to phrase it. Take a, you know, Resident Evil 5, for example. Not to bring that up again so soon after talking about it for so long, but, you know, it stands to be mentioned that the AI, when you're, you know, playing single player and you have your partner helping you, while it's not particularly stupid, it's definitely more useful than Ashley, it's not very smart either. And yet with Mike, it's less AI partner and more a part of the setting, and that makes it easier to make him smarter, I guess, is how I'd phrase it. Anyway, we have one of these dudes to deal with. You saw how many rifle rounds he took to the face. I figured it would only take one more shot. Now, really, I mean, that shows just how dangerous the Plaga parasite is when you really think about it. That's a pretty big guy. You know, that guy is definitely very tall, very large, very strong. He can use a Gatling gun, all that kind of stuff. But does it really make all that much sense, even though he is a big guy, to take 4 or 5 high-powered rifle rounds to the face? This is a sniper rifle that Leon was using, and this guy took 4 rounds directly to the face. The only way somebody could survive that is with supernatural help or some other type of superhuman help. Or maybe not supernatural, maybe that's the wrong word to use, but definitely superhuman. The Plaga is the only answer I can come up with that makes any sense whatsoever. How can these guys take bullets to the face and keep on coming? The Plagas. That's it. That's all I can think of. Other than, oh, it's a game, and if every shot to the head killed, well, that'd be boring. And really, how likely would it be that Leon would survive half the shit that he does, considering the frailty of the human body? And that's fair enough. But if you think about it from a story perspective, it's kind of ridiculous. Then again, I suppose the entire game has really kind of been ridiculous up to now, so I guess it's no use complaining about it at this point. We're using up quite a bit of our healing items. Our first aid sprays are okay, but we're using up quite a bit of our herbs. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm waiting until I hit the red, because that's when it's most opportunistic, or, you know, most helpful to use a full heal. Notice with how many yellow herbs we've been using, Leon's health is almost to its maximum. So it's definitely useful, and I'm pretty sure 1 or 2 more and we will be at maximum. Now, I think I mentioned that you can use yellow herbs on Ashley to give her more health. So you might think, well, if it took this many yellow herbs just to get Leon all the way up, how could you possibly get through the game and get Ashley all the way up too? What don't you have to pick? Well, yes. But there's something about the way this game is structured that's... I think it might be new. And maybe this happened in the earlier installments too, but something I've always liked in games is the concept of New Game Plus. Now, I call it that. I think that's the common term. I think that's what everybody seems to call it. It's definitely what I call it because it was the term given to it by the RPG that was released on the Super Nintendo back in '96, I believe, Chrono Trigger. I hope at least a couple of you have heard of it, please. One of the most popular RPGs on the SNES. Yeah? Okay. One of my favorite games of all time. Eventually I might play it on this channel. I'm not sure. I mean, it's definitely right up my alley, but I think if I were going to do that one, it'd have to be something very special, so I'm not exactly putting that on my list just yet, until I figure out exactly what I'd want to do. Anyway, the way it worked in that game is once you beat the game, you could start over using your clear data, and you could start the game with all of your levels and all of your equipment. Well, in this game there are no levels, but there's definitely equipment. So when you beat the game, and you go through the credits, and all that happens, you get the opportunity to save. And once you save, you'll notice that the typewriter ribbon will say something to the effect of new round. And if you load that save data, you will start the game over again. You'll see the first cutscene again, you'll start out in the village, you'll meet the guy that calls you a bastard and tells you to get the hell out of his house, and the whole rigmarole will start again. And the only difference being you will have all of your weapons and all of your health upgrades and everything else from your previous playthrough. There's only a couple things that'll be gone, I think. And that's like, you know, the key items and stuff like that. Although I think you end up using those anyway, so maybe that doesn't matter. So anyway, I'll get back to that after this section because this is badass and I want you to see it. So I'll shut up.
Take cover!
Thanks. When we get out of here, drinks are on me.
Yeah, hey, I know a good bar.
Mike! I'll make sure you're the next to go, Sadler.
Ooh, I'm sorry, Leon.
Sadler, you bastard!
It's nothing to get all upset about. Don't tell me you've never swatted a bothersome fly. In essence, it's the same thing.
What did you say? Insects' life doesn't compare to human lives.
When you've acquired this power, you too will understand.
Guess it's another good reason to get the parasite out of my body.
I wish you luck.
So, sorry, Mike. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and Mike's help was tragically short-lived. Like, you didn't see that coming? Still sucks, though. Really does. I liked Mike. And we barely ever heard anything from him. But he seemed pretty badass. So anyway, like I was saying, when you start a new game, after you beat it the first time, you start a new round, you have all your equipment, all your upgrades, everything else. And so you can use one playthrough to get Leon's health all the way up, and then use all your yellow herbs from the next playthrough to level up Ashley, and then afterward you can probably start selling your, your fully upgraded herbs, because they're worth a few thousand, to the merchant, because there's some pretty expensive weapons that unlock when you beat the game. So we're going to end the video here because the recording started acting weird. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe and maybe drop a comment and a like. It really helps out the channel. We're just getting started here, and I'll see you next time. Alrighty, bye bye.